Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back to Sunday School with Miss Missy. I'm glad you're here. We are still talking about Abraham and Sarah. This is our third week that we've talked about Abraham and Sarah, so we know a lot of things about them. We know that when Abraham and Sarah were pretty old, God said, "Trust me, follow me. I'm going to lead you to a new land." So Abraham and Sarah left their family, left their friends, left their home, trusted God, had faith that God would provide for them and protect them, and followed God to a new land. We also know that they didn't have any children. So last week, when God promised Abraham that he would have as many descendants as stars in the sky, Abraham had a few doubts about how this would occur. But again, he trusted God. And another word for promise is a covenant. So God made a covenant with Abraham that his descendants would be plentiful, and not only as many as stars in the sky, but as many as the grains of sand on a beach. Well, that's a lot of descendants. And today we're going to hear about Abraham and Sarah having some special guests. Have you ever had a special guest at your house? How do you treat your guest? Do you treat them with hospitality? That's a word that means you show them the best that you have and you treat them as nicely as you possibly can. Well, we're going to hear the Bible story today, first out of our Celebrate Wonder Bible story book, and then out of the Bible. So this story comes to us from Genesis, the first book of the Bible, chapter 18, verses 1 through 15. So I'm going to show you the picture. So you see three people and what looks like a jug of water, and maybe Abraham standing and talking, and they're sitting under a big tree. One hot summer afternoon, Abraham was sitting outside his tent when three visitors walked up to him. Abraham welcomed them. The visitors sat down while Sarah made a meal for them. While the visitors ate the meal, they asked Abraham, "Where is your wife, Sarah?" Abraham said, "Sarah is in the tent." One of the visitors said, "I will come back next year and Sarah will have a new baby." Sarah heard the visitor and she laughed. The visitor said, "I do not know why you are laughing, Sarah, because nothing is too hard for God to do." So I wonder, where did the visitors come from? Abraham didn't expect them, and it says that they appeared suddenly. I wonder, how did the visitors know that Sarah was going to have a baby? Well, let's read this from our Big Blue Bible, and again, chapter 18, verses 1 through 15. The Lord appeared to Abraham at the oaks of Mamre while he sat at the entrance of his tent in the day's heat. He looked up and suddenly saw three men standing near him. As soon as he saw them, he ran from his tent entrance to greet them, and he bowed deeply. He said, "Sirs, if you would be so kind, don't just pass by your servant. Let a little water be brought so you may wash your feet and refresh yourselves under the tree. Let me offer you a little bread so you will feel stronger. And after that, you may leave your servant and go on your way, since you have visited your servant." They responded, Fine, do just as you have said." So Abraham hurried to Sarah at his tent and said, "Quickly, knead 3 sheaves of the finest flour and make some baked goods." Abraham ran to the cattle, took a healthy young calf, and gave it to a servant who prepared it quickly. Then Abraham took butter, milk, and the calf that had been prepared and put the food in front of the visitors and stood under the tree near them while they ate. They said to him, "Where's your wife Sarah?" Abraham said, "Right here in the tent." One of the men said, "I will definitely return to you about this time next year. Then your wife Sarah will have a son." Sarah was listening at the tent door behind him. Now, Abraham and Sarah were very old. Sarah was too old to have a child. So Sarah laughed to herself, thinking, "I'm no longer able to have children, and my husband is old." The Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Me give birth at my age'? Is anything too difficult for the Lord? When I return to you about this time next year, Sarah will have a son." Sarah lied and said, "I didn't laugh," because she was frightened. But he said, "No, you laughed." Now you can pause the video and go watch I Wonder session 7 on our website. Welcome back. Let's use our Wonder Cube now and talk about the story. I wonder, what did the Bible story teach you? Did you learn that God always keeps his promises? I wonder, if you could be any character in this Bible story, who would you be and why? Would you be Abraham? Would you be Sarah? Would you be one of the guests? I wonder, what would you change about this Bible story? I wonder, do you think it's okay to ever think about and question how God will get things done? God promises to go with us, but God also asks us to have faith in him and that all God will do. Like Abraham and Sarah, special visitors, God also puts people in our lives to remind us about what he is doing and the great things he's doing in our lives. So shall we open our Wonder Box? So here's our box. And I'm going to open it and take out what's inside. What do you see inside? Something red. So, what do you think these are? If you guessed cloth napkins, you're right. I wonder, why do you think I have cloth napkins in here? I bet when you have people over for dinner, sometimes you use fancy dishes, china maybe, fancy knives, forks, and spoons, fancy glasses, fancy napkins, fancy napkin rings. That's called showing hospitality. Now let's do our faith word. Here is our faith word. To believe in God's presence and to hope. Abraham and Sarah believed in God's presence and they had hope. They had hope that they would have children. And what about this? The Lord carried out just what he had promised. So, I wonder, do you think when the visitors return, Abraham and Sarah will have a baby? What do you think? I wonder, what types of things make you feel special? I wonder, why do you think Sarah laughed when she heard what the special visitors said? I have some activity sheets which are on the website, the church website. So Sarah baked 3 loaves of bread, and the servant made a meal with the calf, and they provided water and food. So if you want to cut these things out and glue them to the tablecloth. And we have a word search that you can do. And you can also brainstorm and journal. I have doubts about what strengthens your faith when you have doubts. I know this is your favorite thing to do. It's multiplication and subtraction and a word search. Now, if you'd like to pause the video, you can go to the website and watch Maybe God is Like That Too. And when you restart it, let's have a prayer together. Okay, bow your heads. Dear God, thank you for the special people in our lives that show us the wisdom of your ways and the great things that you are doing in our lives. Help us to have the faith of Abraham and Sarah, even when we have doubts. Amen. Okay, friends, I'll see you next week.